Hi, everybody, it's your old pal Chuck, and I am back with another review. And I am excited to bring to you today from the Transformers Adventures line. This is Jazz Battle Mode and Drift Origin Mode. Now, for the remainder of the review, I will just refer to them as Jazz and Drift because, that's just a little bit easier. This is a two-pack that was just released. This is one of the final sets of figures or figures to be released uh, in the over in Japan and over from Takara for the Transformers Adventures line, which is their version of Robots in Disguise. Um, so yeah, clearly as you can tell, Drift is very different, but there is a lot different with Jazz compared to their American counterparts. So we're going to start the review and take a look at Jazz. Starting off in vehicle mode, you can tell that there's a lot more paint here with Jazz. The blue lines go all the way back, even here onto the parts that would be the back of the feet. The doors have a lot more paint. The front end with the lights. I guess they didn't paint in these little exhausts here, but I guess that's okay because you really don't see them when in a real life car. But this looks a lot closer to the classic look of the original G1 Jazz, which this toy was based off of. One of the things I was impressed, well, not impressed, but surprised to find when getting the Japanese instructions is this is basically all of the weapon storage. As we all know, going back to Wave 1 Warrior Class Bumblebee, Hasbro really doesn't put the weapon storage into the instructions. So it's a little something you have to sit there and figure out on your own. So many of us were trying to figure out with Jazz where that giant lance went. And well, there it is. So let me just go ahead and remove it so we can, get a cleaner look at the vehicle mode. Now, I'm a little bit confused because I don't know if this is a retool of the original Transformers Adventure Jazz with a new head, or this is a repaint of the Stepper mold that was released in a two-pack with Sideswipe, which was a repaint of that Wave 1 Jazz with a new head. I think I'm just splitting hairs, but that's about all I can say for vehicle mode. We're just going to skip ahead and get right into robot mode. And here we are. I'm just fixing up the wings here a little, just, you know, getting it nice and purty. One thing I do want to mention that I don't know if it's just this version of the mold or it's how the Takara version is. Things peg together a lot tighter. I don't really know how I feel about that because I like the tolerances on Robots in Disguise Jazz, but to each its own. As you can see, there's a lot more paint here in robot mode. The red detailing on the arms, more blue on the forearms. It's just, you really, looking at this figure, you can tell just how bare the Hasbro version was. And, understandably, that has to fit into a certain price point they were doing and a certain type of aesthetic they were going for. As a simplified figure, that's a bit beyond the one-step and three-step figures. The big difference here than the, besides the paint, is the head, which I'm bringing Jazz in for a nice close-up here. Ooh, sorry about that. And as you can see, here, let me get it a little closer. As you can see, this version of the head has a great visored look on it with a little pursed lips. This actually reminds me more of the Hunt for the Decepticons version of Jazz, which is commonly, in jokes referred to as Jazz Dredd. Because he looked very much like Judge Dredd with that visor. And you see, this is a very stern look upon the face, very humorless, which is a bit different from the figure, I'm sorry, from the character we had before. And I do even like the little blue detailing there on the head. Well, I mean, this is supposed to be the battle mode, so that's why I guess it looks that serious. Now, let's take a look at Drift. Like I said at the beginning, There's a lot more going on with Drift than with Jazz in terms of the paint and design. That's because what Takara did is take the Warrior class mold and go ahead and redesign it as the original Generations version of Drift. So you can see you have the white with the red lines, the little Japanese katakana. You still have the Brahma bull here on the front, which is part of the mold and etched in. It's like now that's done in red, so you do have that connection to the animated design. And that's about it. I mean, you know, it looks, maybe it looks a little plainer, but let's not forget the original toy was basically white. I do like how they did put in a lot more details up front here than I remember from the original version of the figure. And also, you do have the weapon storage underneath, which I think is really cool and really nice. And like I mentioned with Jazz, it's great that the Takara instructions actually make a point of putting that in. I think, you know, with cutting corners, Hasbro really should have just spent the money and had fully printed instructions with the figure instead of trying to have them fit on a small space on the back of the card. And here's Drift in robot mode. And as you can see, the new colors really pop. You have a nice dark navy, almost cobalt blue here on the feet. You have more of the red detailing here on the legs. The chest, that's really kind of cool. It's kind of made up to look like the Japanese flag, with a little bit of yellow accents here around the chest and around the side skirts. Um, Again, the transformation is exactly the same. One thing I did notice is the wheels here, as you can see basically on this side, they're actually made of a clear smoky plastic, so please be very careful. I actually just had my Supreme Mode Bumblebee, the right hand, snap off. And it was and I didn't realize, well, I had an idea, but it was all clear plastic, but because it was painted, I couldn't tell that there was a stress mark. Articulation and for this figure, as well as Jazz, is exactly the same as the original version. But like Jazz, we are dealing with a new head. This one, I think, is a bit more involved because this, as you can will be able to see, is actually based on the original, what I would say, the younger version of Drift. So you don't really have the little Fu Manchu action going on, but you do have that helmeted look, the racer type of look going on. You got some nice blue eyes, that blue here up the crest with some yellow accents. I mean, this really is a cool looking figure. Um, you know, I'm trying to figure out which one I like better. I think in terms of the head, I like Drift a little bit more. The one issue I did have though is the transformation. The One of the arms tends to bulge out a little, so depending on how you look at it in vehicle mode, the panels with the roof, which are the heels here, don't line up exactly well. Thus far, this could arguably be the best two-pack that Takara's put out for the Transformers Adventure line, as it's given us a version of a character that the fans have demanded with the battle-visored Jazz, as well as bringing a really nice update to an already great pre-existing mold with the battle mode drift here. Um, I mean, what's great now, this is where I get a little caught up with like where to recommend. If you already have either the Transformers Adventure version of Jazz or the Robots in Disguise one, I have a little bit of a hard time recommending this set for the Jazz, since really all you're getting is that new head. The paint's nice, but especially at the Transformers Adventure one, you're really only getting the new head. The Robots in Disguise one, yeah, I can say go for it. Drift here, I can definitely recommend if you have either version of Drift, as it's an entirely new paint scheme and a new head. So it really is like you're getting more of a newer figure. As I mentioned, the transformation, there is a little bit of an issue with one of the arms on drift where I think the panel is a little tight and it's bulging out. You really can't notice it in robot mode, and it's only from certain angles in vehicle mode. Jazz, the only real issue is some of the joints are tight. But I do stress being careful. As I mentioned, my Supremo Bumblebee, I'm going to have to fix that hand somehow, but regardless, it'll be useless. I got this set from Big Bad Toy Store. It's in stock at all major online retailers now. Um, if you're a parent, and you're looking for something a little special for your kids, if they already have these figures and they're familiar how to transform them, go ahead, pick them up. The instructions, they are picture instructions, but there is a little bit of text that you might need to help them out with if they don't have them. But I think this would make a great set because, let's be honest, I don't see Hasbro releasing either version, either figure in these versions in the Robots in the Skies line, just because it wouldn't match in to the price point. Although, who knows, we might see a repaint from at least from Takara of the Deployer Drift done in these colors with a new head down the line. This is your old pal Chuck for Battle Mode Jazz and Origin Mode Drift. We will see you next time.